Alright, so this video is going to be to help memorize in order the pulse rate, respiratory rate, and systolic blood pressure of newborns, toddlers, and school-aged children. You can see the breakdown of ages in the Excel sheet, and as we go through we will fill it out and I'll leave time to do so. Remember, this method is incredibly stupid, but it does work. Let's begin. We start out with little 6-month-old Jordan. He stole his dad's convertible. His little heart is racing and he's driving 100 miles per hour down Interstate 160. But a couple of cops are out there, and they don't like that too much. They pull him over and give him a field sobriety test. But dude can't even walk, so they breathalyze him and he blows a 25. But he keeps drinking out of his little baby bottle. So they breathalyze him again and he blows a 50. So he blows a 25 to 50. Homie should have just smoked a joint. Cops can't test that shit. They end up throwing him in the slammer, and to add the pressure to him and make his little blood boil, they tell him if he'd only been going 95 and a 70, they would not have had to arrest him. So pause and repeat back the stories and the numbers: pulse, respiratory rate, and systolic blood pressure. And remember, it's a range for each. It's a year later and Jordan is now 2 years old. Let me tell you, getting arrested is expensive. To pay off his debt, he gets a job at coal mine. If you ever seen Zoolander, you know that shit rough as hell. He's working the 0900 to 1500 hour shift, or as the coal miners put it in coal miner jargon, from 90 to 150. But one day he goes home and he sees the ghost of his future self waiting for him. Whether it was real or he was just totally loaded or whatever, I don't know. But his future self tells him that if he keeps working in the mines, he's going to be a drunk who has black lung in like 20 to 30 years. So Jordan is like, that sounds horrible. I need to go back to school to have a better life. And he knows if he gets an 80% or higher, so an 80 to 100, he'll have a better life. Pause here and repeat back the pulse, respiratory, and blood pressure rates for little toddler Jordan. So a couple years later, when he's 9, Jordan goes to school and takes the big test, but he only gets a 70. So he does some extracurricular activities with Mrs. Applehand and she gives him 50 extra points. So he had a 70, and now he has a 120. But the cops start investigating, because like, how can you score a 120%, especially when this kid dumb as hell? So they send Officer Neely McNogun and his pals to arrest Mrs. Applehand, and she gets 15 to 20 years in prison. But the cops feel bad for Jordan. Dude's been through it in the coal mine, and his teacher was taking advantage of him. But they have to do something, so they take away 10 points. Jordan needed an 80 to pass, but he ended up with a 110. 80 to 110. If it was me though, I would have just given him the chair. Pause here and repeat back school-aged Jordan's pulse, respiratory, PP rates, and then his numbers for his whole horrible life so far.